The hammer slipped from my fingers and crashed through the floorboard, splintering wood like brittle bones. Right as her voice cut the air from the ladder above. "You gonna stand there bleeding or let me patch you up? City girl?" Josephine's words hung heavy, laced with that rough Texas drawl she swore she'd lost in Brooklyn. But her eyes, sharp as the nails she drove all day, pinned me in place. I stared at the gash on my palm, red blooming against the pale grain of the oak, and wondered how a simple Reno job in this crumbling Harlem brownstone had cracked open something deeper. Something that terrified me more than the blood. That was the moment everything tilted. I'd come to the city 3 years back. Fleeing the sterile quiet of my parents' library in Savannah. Chasing a master's in literature at NYU. Dreaming of curating rare books in some hushed Manhattan archive. Instead, I ended up shelving bestsellers at the Strand. My days a rhythm of dog-eared paperbacks and the faint must of ink. My nights alone in a shoebox apartment where the walls whispered back my own silence. Genevieve. They called me. After some forgotten French poet my mama adored. But I felt more like a footnote. Tucked away. Overlooked. Until Josephine. She was the foreman on the gut Reno next door. A force in steel-toed boots and faded Levi's. Her laugh booming over the whine of saws like thunder rolling in from the Hudson. I'd first noticed her hauling rebar up the fire escape. Muscles coiling under tattooed skin. The kind of ink that told stories of bad decisions and better comebacks. A phoenix rising from flames on her bicep that made my throat dry just watching. She was 31 to my 28. Built like she could shoulder the weight of a collapsed scaffold and keep grinning. Her short hair perpetually dusted with plaster. Eyes the color of worn denim after a rain. Josephine Hale. From a dust-choked oil town outside Dallas. Shed said once. Over lukewarm coffee from the bodega cart. When Wed bumped elbows on the stoop. Ran from the rigs when they started fracking my backyard dry. Figured concrete in the city beats black lungs in the sticks. Our worlds collided that first week in July. Heat wave turning the air thick as molasses. The brownstone groaning under scaffolds like an old man in his cups. I'd been wrestling with a warped shelf in my living room. Cursing the landlord's cheap fixes. When the wall between us shuddered. Dust sifted down like ash. And there she was. Peering through a fresh hole. Grinning like Shed won the lottery. "Looks like we share more than a lease now. Neighbor." Her voice was gravel and honey. Pulling me in before I could catch my breath. I laughed. Awkward. Wiping sweat from my brow. My sundress clinging like a second skin. That hole became our portal. Conversations spilling through like contraband. Her tales of midnight shifts on high-rises. My rambles about Austin heroines who burned too bright. She called me Jen. Short and sweet. Like we'd always known each other. By the end of the month, the Reno bled into my space. "Let me fix that shelf," she'd say. Tools in hand. And I'd let her. Mesmerized by the sure way her fingers gripped the hammer. The faint scent of sawdust and citrus soap clinging to her. We'd work side by side. Her teaching me to level a joist. Me reading aloud from dog-eared copies of Their Eyes Were Watching God while she sanded edges smooth. The air between us hummed. Charged. Her glances lingering on the curve of my neck. My own eyes tracing the flecks of her forearms. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the room gold, she paused, chisel in hand, and looked at me. Really looked. "You gotta quiet that screams, Jen. Makes a girl wanna listen." My heart stuttered. A sigh escaping unbidden. And I turned away. Cheeks warm. Pretending to dust a sill. But the pull was there. Undeniable. A current dragging us under. It happened on a Thursday. Rain lashing the windows like accusations. The city a blur beyond the glass. The crew had wrapped early. Thunder chasing them home. Leaving Josephine to finish a loose beam in my kitchen. I poured us wine. Cheap red from the corner store. Our fingers brushing as I handed her the glass. We talked late. Her stories of lost loves and dive bars. Mine of family dinners where questions about that special someone hung like smoke. The wine loosened tongues. Breaths quickening in the dim light of a single lamp. She set her glass down. Slow. Deliberate. And crossed the room in 2 strides. "Jen," she murmured. Voice low. Roughened by the storm outside. Her hand cupped my cheek. Thumb tracing my jaw. And I leaned in. Breath catching. The world narrowing to the heat of her palm. Our lips met tentative at first. A question. Then fierce. her mouth tasting of Merlot and salt, hands roaming with the urgency of pent-up storms. She lifted me onto the counter. Easy as lifting plywood. My legs wrapping around her waist. Fingers tangling in her hair. Sighs mingled with the rain. Bodies pressing close. Clothes shed in a trail like breadcrumbs leading to surrender. In my bed, tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender and her. We moved like waves crashing. Her strength tempered by whispers of my name. My touch drawing gasps from her that echoed my own unraveling. It was messy. Real. Her calluses scraping soft skin. My nails digging into her back. Leaving marks like signatures. Afterward. We lay spent. Her arm heavy across my waist. Breath sinking in the quiet. This ain't just a rainy night thing. Is it? She asked. Voice vulnerable. Fingers tracing lazy circles on my hip. I shook my head. Throat tight. And pulled her closer. The rain a lullaby sealing our secret. Act 1 faded into those stolen weeks. A haze of blueprints and books. Her hard hat left on my dresser like a talisman. Mornings. Shed slip out before dawn. Kissing my temple with a gruff, see you on sight. Beautiful, and I'd linger in bed. Replaying the curve of her smile. The way her laugh rumbled against my skin. We carved out moments in the chaos of the city. Lunch at a falafel truck in Washington Square. Her boot nudging mine under the table. Eyes promising more. Evenings. We'd collapse together. Her body a anchor in my drifting world. Conversations weaving deeper. Her confessions of a father who drank himself silent. A mother who prayed away the girl who loved girls. They called it sin, she said once. Voice cracking over takeout tie on the fire escape. City lights twinkling below like fallen stars. I shared my own shadows. The church pews of my youth where God's love felt conditional. The ache of hiding who I was from a family that saw me as the good girl. The safe one. But cracks formed subtle at first. Like hairlines in fresh plaster. The Reno dragged. Delays from permits and suppliers. Her crew grumbling. Tempers flaring. Josephine came home later. Exhaustion etching lines around her eyes. Her touches rougher. Edged with frustration. Bosses riding my ass about overtime, she'd mutter. Collapsing beside me. Beer in hand instead of wine. I'd soothe her with stories. Fingers combing through her hair. But the sighs grew heavier. Pauses longer. One night. After a 12-hour shift. She arrived with a bruise blooming on her cheek from a slipped beam. Her laugh forced. Just a love tap from gravity. We made love fierce that evening. Bodies slamming together like arguments unspoken. But in the afterglow. She pulled away. Staring at the ceiling. This job's killing me. Jen. And you're too good for the dust I bring home. I dismissed it. Chalked it up to fatigue. But doubt seeded. A quiet erosion. My own world pressed in. The Strand cutting hours for budget cuts. My thesis advisor emailing pointed reminders about deadlines I'd been dodging in favor of her. Friends noticed. My roommate Lena cornering me in the break room. You've got that glow, Jen. But also shadows. Who's the mystery? I deflected with a smile. But inside. The fear stirred. The old whisper that love like this was borrowed time. Fragile as a first edition spine. The turning point came in September. Leaves turning in Central Park. Air crisp with the promise of fall. Josephine had scored tickets to a folk concert at the Bowery Ballroom. A rare night off. Her idea of romance. Acoustic guitars and close dancing. We arrived late. Her hand firm in mine as we wove through the crowd. Bodies pressed in the dim haze of stage lights. She pulled me to the bar first. Ordering whiskeys neat. Her arm slung around my waist like it belonged. The music swelled. Raw voices singing of heartbreak and highways. And we swayed together. Her chin on my shoulder. Breath warm against my ear. You make this city feel like home, she whispered. And I melted. Turning to kiss her slow. Public for once. The world blurring to just us. But halfway through the set. Her phone buzzed insistent. Cutting through the melody. She glanced at it. Face tightening. And stepped away. Voice low into the receiver. I watched from afar. Heart sinking as her posture shifted. Shoulders squaring like for a fight. Minutes stretched. The song ending on a minor chord. And when she returned, her eyes were storm clouds. Crew trouble. One of the guys, Marco. He's out. Told the boss about us. Said he saw us last week on the stoop. My stomach dropped. The whiskey souring. Marco. The welder with the perpetual scowl. Hooditis suspicious during breaks. What'd you say? I asked. Voice small. She shrugged. But it was brittle. Told him it's none of his damn business. But word spreads fast in this game. We left early. The night air biting as we hailed a cab uptown. Silence thick between us. In the back seat. Her hand found mine. Squeezing tight. But the damage lingered. Hell blow over, she said. But her sigh betrayed her. Long and weary. At my place? We undressed mechanical. Bodies connecting but minds adrift. Her thrusts urgent. Almost angry. My responses muffled by the knot in my chest. Afterward. She smoked on the windowsill. City glow haloing her profile. Construction ain't kind to folks like us. Jen. Always some asshole swinging a wrench. I joined her. Wrapping arms around her waist. Chin on her shoulder. Then we swing back. Together. She turned. Kissing me fierce. But in her eyes. I saw the chaos building. Beams buckling under unseen weight. From there. The second act unfolded like a scaffold collapse. Slow then sudden. Our haven fracturing under the strain. Word ricocheted through her crew. Whispers turning to sidelong glares. Marco's crew sidling up with jokes that landed like punches. Heard the foreman's got a soft spot for the bookworm next door. Careful. Josie. She might shove you under fiction. Josephine laughed it off at first. Her bark louder. But I saw the toll. The way she'd clench her jaw over dinner. Picking at her food. Shifts stretched longer. Her coming home with fresh scrapes. Stories clipped. Just a dumb fall, she'd say. But her eyes avoided mine. The phoenix on her arm seeming to flicker in the low light. My own fractures widened. At the Strand. Lena pulled me aside again. Her brow furrowed. You look haunted. Jen. Is it the thesis? Or her? I confessed in fragments. The fear of labels. The weight of eyes. She hugged me tight. Love ain't a plot twist you hide. But damn. Girl. She sounds like she's worth the storm. Encouraged. I planned a surprise. A weekend escape to the Catskills. A cabin ID found online. All wood beams and whispering pines. Far from the city's grind. Let's reset, I told her one night. Brochure in hand. As we lay entwined. Her face softened. A genuine smile breaking through. You and me against the woods? Hell yeah. The drive up was golden. Autumn foliage blazing like fire along the Taconic Parkway. Radio crooning old Springsteen as her hand rested on my thigh. We arrived at dusk. The cabin a cozy nook with a stone fireplace. Lake view shimmering under stars. That first night. We cooked chili over the stove. Her apron tied loose. Laughing as she burned the cornbread. My corrections met with flour-dusted kisses. In bed. With the window cracked to autumn chill. We loved slow. Exploratory. Her mouth mapping my skin like new terrain. My gasps echoing off log walls. You're my blueprint, she murmured. Fingers interlaced. And I believed it. The world reduced to her heartbeat against mine. But chaos doesn't vacation. Saturday morning. As mist rose off the lake. Her phone rang again. Insistent. She answered in the kitchen. Voice rising sharp. What do you mean? Suspended? For what? Gossip? I froze in the doorway. Coffee mug heavy in my hands. It was the site super. Relaying complaints. Marco stirring the pot with claims of distraction on the job, favoritism whispers turning toxic. Josephine paced. Curses low. Ending with a slammed cabinet. She turned to me. Face ashen. They're benching me till it clears. Says it's HR protocol. Some bullshit about conduct. My heart ached. Reaching for her. But she shrugged off. Grabbing her jacket. Need air. She stormed out to the dock. Boots thudding on weathered planks. Leaving me staring at the ripples. I followed after a beat. Finding her skipping stones. Each plunk a punctuation to her silence. This is on me, she said finally. Voice raw. Bringing you into my mess. I sat beside her. Legs dangling over the edge. Water lapping cold below. It's our mess. And we fix it together. But doubt crept in her eyes. A sigh escaping like smoke. You don't get it. Jen. This world's built on straight lines. And we curve wrong. Always have. The drive back Sunday was quiet. Miles of yellow trees blurring past. Her hand in mine but grip loose. Back in the city. The brownstone felt smaller. Walls closing in. She threw herself into job hunting. Resumes fired off to firms in Queens and Jersey. But rejections piled like debris. Nights. Would argue soft. Her frustration spilling. I can't just wait tables while they sort their crap. I need the work. The rhythm. I decounter with patience. My own job a fragile thread. But the pauses grew. Breaths heavy with unsaid fears. One evening. After a call from her ex-crew buddy warning of blackballing rumors. She snapped. Voice echoing off our shared wall. Now patched but scarred. Maybe we hit pause? Jen. Till I get steady. The words landed like a fallen beam. Crushing. I stared. Tears hot. Pause? Like we're a project you shelve? She reached for me. Apologetic. But I pulled back. The first real fracture. Am not your distraction, Joe. Am your everything. We made up in bed that night. Desperate. Bodies clinging like lifelines. But the seed of chaos rooted deep. Tendrils wrapping our joy. Winter crept in. November winds howling down Lenox Avenue. Snow dusting scaffolds like powdered sugar on regret. Josephine landed gig work. Odd repairs in the Bronx. Her truck rumbling away at dawn. Returning late with takeout and tired kisses. I buried in my thesis. Pages filling with heroines who chose exile over erasure. Mirroring our dance. But the distance grew. Her touches fleeting. My questions met with deflections. Just the grind, she'd say. But her eyes wandered to the window. City lights mocking our isolation. The breaking came on a sleet-slick night. Christmas lights twinkling premature in shop windows. She'd promised a date. Italian in Little Italy. But texted late. Stuck on a roof in Astoria. Rain check. I waited alone. Pasta cooling. Wine untouched. The ache blooming familiar. When she finally arrived. Soaked and shivering. Smelling of wet concrete. I confronted her. Voice steady despite the tremor. This isn't working, Joe. You're building walls higher than any site. She stripped her jacket. Water pooling. Face crumpling. I'm scared, Jen. Scared I'll drag you down with me. We talked till dawn. Raw. Unfiltered. Her admitting the whispers haunted her. Echoes of Texas shame. My own confessions of fearing I'd vanish into her shadow. Sighs punctuated the quiet. Hands finding each other across the table. I love you, she said first. Voice breaking. And I echoed it. The words a bridge over the chasm. But love alone couldn't shore the beams, we needed action. Act 3 dawned in the new year. January's bite sharpening resolve. Josephine confronted the super. Storming the site office with a union rep. Her voice steady as she laid out the harassment. Marcos bigotry exposed under fluorescent glare. You bench me for who I love? That's your lawsuit. Not mine. It escalated. Papers filed. The crew fracturing as allies emerged. Quiet nods from the quiet ones had seen too. Meanwhile, I rallied my own front. Thesis submitted with a dedication scrawled in margins, to Jay, who rebuilt me plank by plank. Lena spread word in literary circles. Connections blooming for readings. My voice finding stage at a queer open mic in the village. Stories of us veiled in verse. Spring thawed the ice. April cherry blossoms scattering pink confetti in Prospect Park. Where we picnicked one Sunday. Her head in my lap. Fingers tracing my palm scar. Faded now. The case settled quiet. Back pay and a transfer to a progressive firm in Brooklyn. Marco sidelined to night shifts. Josephine thrived there. Her laugh returning full. Mentoring apprentices with a gentleness she'd hidden before. Turns out. Curving lines make the strongest arches, she quipped one evening. Over rooftop barbecue. City sprawl at our feet. Our love deepened. Textured by scars. Travel stitching us tighter, a road trip to Savannah. My hand in hers as we faced my folks over pecan pie. Her drawl charming mama into tentative hugs, her leading me through Dallas dust. Graveyards of rigs. Her past laid bare under wide skies. We fought still. Tempers flaring over forgotten chores or late nights. But makeup was ritual now. Slow dances in the kitchen to Coltrane. Sighs of forgiveness mingling with moans. By summer, the brownstone stood whole. Our wall a mural of shared art. Books stacked beside toolboxes. One evening, as dusk painted the room lavender, Josephine knelt amid sawdust. Ring simple silver hammered by her own hands. Marry me, Jen. Let's build something lasting. Chaos and all. Tears blurred my yes. Her kiss sealing it. The world steady under our feet. Years later, in a Cape Cod cottage we flipped ourselves. Waves crashing beyond the dune grass. I watch her hammer a loose shingle. Our daughter toddling nearby with a toy level. Curls wild like mine. Eyes blue like hers. The chaos we built wasn't escape-proof. But it was ours. Reinforced with laughter and love. A structure enduring. In quiet moments, her hand in mine, I sigh content. The depth of us a story without end. Humanistic in its flawed grace. The gash on my palm had scabbed over by the time Josephine showed up at the Strand that afternoon. Her work boots leaving faint mud prints on the worn linoleum. A paper bag swinging from one hand. Brought you lunch? City girl. Figured you'd forget to eat chasing ghosts in those stacks. Her grin was crooked. Unapologetic. As she leaned against a cart of returns. The scent of falafel wafting up. Warm and spiced. I glanced around. Heart quickening at the casual intimacy. Coworkers milling oblivious. But her presence filled the aisle like sunlight cutting fog. You didn't have to, I murmured. But took the bag anyway. Our fingers brushing electric. A pause where breath synced. We ate in the rare books room. Tucked away behind velvet ropes. The air thick with leather and time. She perched on a ladder rung. Legs dangling. Recounting the morning's mishap with exaggerated flair. Her laugh pulling mine free. That hammer? Slipped right through like it had a grudge. But hey. Gave me an excuse to check on my favorite neighbor. Favorite. The word lingered. Warm. Stirring something low in my belly. I shared a bite of pita. Her hum of approval vibrating close. Eyes locking over the wrap. You taste like trouble, she teased. Thumb wiping tahini from my lip. Slow. Deliberate. Heat flushed my cheeks. And I looked away. Pretending to shelve a first edition Wolf. But the pages blurred. Her gaze a tether. That encounter blurred into others. Threads weaving our days. Shed text mid-shift. Photos of sunsets over the East River. Captioned, wish you were here. Staring down beams with me. ID reply with dog-eared quotes. The life of man is of no greater duration than the breath of his nostrils, and shed fire back. Plato? Nah. That's us. Jen. One breath at a time. The flirtation built subtle. Her dropping by after hours with borrowed tools for my endless fixes. Me leaving novels on her truck dash. Underlined passages like secrets. One rainy Tuesday. As thunder grumbled. She knocked soaked. Toolbox dripping. Leaky faucet again? Or just an excuse to see me wet? Her wink was pure mischief. And I pulled her in. Towel in hand. Drying her hair with gentle tugs. Her sigh soft against my palm. The air shifted that night. Charged like the storm outside. We fixed the faucet together. Her wrench turning sure. My light steady. Elbows bumping in the tight space. Water flowed clear finally. And she straightened. Wiping hands on her jeans. Close enough to feel her heat. Teamwork, she said. Voice husky. And leaned in. Forehead to mine. Breaths mingling. My heart pounded. A question in the space between. And then her lips brushed mine. Featherlight. Testing. I answered. Hand to her neck. Pulling deeper. The kiss unfolding hungry. Tongues tentative then bold. Her body pinning me gentle against the sink. Hands roamed. Hers under my shirt tracing spine. Mine fisting her damp tee. Pulling her closer. We stumbled to the bedroom. Shedding wet layers in a trail. Her tank top clinging translucent. Revealing the swell of breasts. Freckles dusting collarbone. Naked. She was revelation. Scars faint from old falls. Muscles honed like sculpture. Her touch reverent on my curves. Dark skin glowing under lamplight. Beautiful, she breathed. Laying me back. Mouth trailing fire from neck to navel. Gasps drawing from me like confessions. I arched. Fingers in her hair. Guiding. Her tongue circling slow. Building waves that crested shattering. Her name a prayer on my lips. Then she rose. Straddling. Our rhythms sinking primal. Sweat slick slides. Her moans mingling with mine. Release crashing mutual. Bodies quaking entwined. Collapsed. Limbs tangled. Her heartbeat thrummed against my chest. Steady as a carpenter's pulse. That hammer slip? Best mistake I made, she whispered. Fingers lacing mine. The scar on my palm a badge now. I laughed soft. Sigh escaping. The rain a curtain sealing us in. Sleep came easy. Her arm anchor. Dreams laced with her scent. Morning brought coffee in awkward grace. Her brewing strong black while I scrambled eggs. Domestic in the dawn light. Last night wasn't a one-off, she said. Handing me a mug. Eyes serious over the steam. If you're game. I nodded. Throat tight with yes. And kissed her quick. Tasting future. She left for sight with a lingering hug. Her truck fading down the block. Leaving me buoyant. Shelving books with a smile that drew curious glances. The weeks that followed were idle. Our secret blooming unchecked. Dates snuck in. Her leading me to a speakeasy in the Lower East Side. Jazz humming low. Her hand on my knee under the table. Thumb circling promise. Tell me a story. Jen, she'd say. Chin propped on hand. And I'd spin tales of librarians who loved outlaws. Her eyes darkening with want. Nights. Would explore each other lazy. Her calluses mapping my thighs. My whispers drawing shudders from her core. You undo me, she'd gasp. Head thrown back. And I'd hold her through aftershocks. Our sighs a duet in the dark. But beneath the bliss. Undercurrents stirred. Her job demanded. Long hours turning her weary. Arriving with dust-caked boots and clipped words. Rough day, she'd mutter. Bypassing kisses for showers. Emerging subdued. I'd coax her out with books. Reading aloud from Baldwin. His words on love as revolution bridging our silences. Yet doubts flickered. My mirror reflecting flushed cheeks. But also the fear of fragility. This joy too vivid to last. October brought the first real test. Leaves crunching underfoot as we walked the high line. Rails overgrown with wildflowers. City hum distant. She'd been quiet all week. Phone calls from the site super terse. Over hot cider from a vendor. She confessed. Boss wants me on a high-rise in Midtown. Overtime pay. But. It's nights. Weekends. Means less us. My stomach twisted. The park suddenly vast. We adapt, I said. Forcing brightness. But inside. The sigh built. Heavy. She pulled me close. Kissing temple. You're worth more than any skyline. Jen. The schedule hit hard. Her shift swallowing evenings. Our bed cold more nights than warm. Text sustained. Her miss your voice at 2 a.m. pulling tears. My replies laced with longing. 1 midnight. She slipped in exhausted. Collapsing beside me. And I woke to her touch. Slow love making in moonlight. Her body heavy with need. Mine yielding soft. Don't let go, she murmured. Climax shuddering through us. But dawn brought her departure again. Kiss hasty. Isolation crept. My days at the Strand blurring. Thesis pages stagnant. Lena noticed. Dragging me to coffee. She's building empires. You're building dreams. Balance it. Or ITLL topple. Her words stung true. And I planned intervention. A night off forced. Dinner at a soul food spot in bed stewy. Collards and cornbread steaming. She arrived late. Apologetic. But her laugh returned over bites. Stories flowing. Missed this. Missed you. We walked home slow. Her arm around waist. Pausing under street lamps for kisses deep. The city ours again. Yet the crew tension simmered. Marco's glares sharpening during my visits to site. His mutters to others like nails in wood. Josephine brushed it off. But I saw the strain. Her posture tensing when he neared. Ignore the noise, she'd say. But noise builds to roar. November gale winds rattled windows as the concert loomed. Our escape. Preparations buzzed. Me in a new dress. Burgundy silk hugging curves. Her borrowing a button-down from a crew buddy. Sleeves rolled on forearms. The cab ride thrummed anticipation. Her hand squeezing thigh. Whispers of plans post-show. At the ballroom. The crowd pulsed alive. Guitars strumming soul. Her body heat anchor in the press. Then the call. Her face draining as she stepped away. My heart foreseeing fracture. When she returned, the words tumbled. Suspension looming. Marco's poison spreading. The music mocked. Lover swaying oblivious. And I pulled her close. Chin on shoulder. Well, fight it. But her nod was wooden. The night salvaged in cab silence. Her head on my lap. Fingers tracing patterns on skin. Home. The argument brewed soft. Her pacing. Me seated on bed edge. This job. It's all I know. Jen. Without it. What am I? I rose. Hands to her face. You're Josephine. My Josephine. Lovemaking followed desperate. Her on top. Thrusts deep. My legs locked. Cries mingling with sighs of release. But sleep evaded. Her back to me. Breaths uneven. The Catskills trip became lifeline. Packed hasty. Her truck loaded with coolers and quilts. The drive healed fragments. Her singing off-key to radio. My hand in hers over gear shift. Cabin arrival brought peace. Fireplace crackling as we unpacked. Her arms wrapping from behind. Kiss to neck. Thank you for this. Dinner laughter flowed. Her stories of boyhood treehouses. Mine of childhood libraries. Worlds merging over wine. Morning mist cloaked the lake. Her phone shattering idle. The call escalated. Her voice rising. And I watched helpless as anger etched her features. Post hang up. She fled to dock. Stones skipping fury. Joining her. I listened as she vented. Fears pouring. They see us as weakness. Jen. And maybe they're right. My counter was fierce. Hand over hers. They're wrong. We're foundation. The talk stretched. Tear salting cheeks. Hugs mending rifts temporary. Return to city brought resolve frayed. Her job hunt frantic. My support unwavering but weary. Arguments sparked over smalls. Her I need space cutting deep one eve. My retreat to couch. Sobs muffled in pillow. She followed. Apologetic. Pulling me to bed. Touches soothing. Whispers of sorry leading to gentle union. Bodies reaffirming vows unspoken. Winter deepened divides. Snow blanketing scaffolds idle. Her gigs sporadic. Moods swinging. Christmas Eve. Alone in twinkling lights. Her text working late. Love you insufficient. Dinner solitary. Heart aching. Her arrival brought gifts wrapped rough. Her embrace melting ice. But the confrontation brewed inevitable. New Year's resolution burned in me as Josephine slept beside. Her face slack in repose. Lashes fanning cheeks. Dawnlight slanted through blinds. Gilding the ring of dust on her nightstand. Remnants of our life in flux. I slipped out quiet. Brewing tea strong. Chamomile to calm the storm inside. When she stirred. Mug in hand. Eyes bleary. I sat edge of bed. Words measured. We can't keep pausing. Joe. It's eroding us. She propped on elbow. Hand reaching. Sigh long. I know. Jen. Just. Terrified of losing you to this mess. The vulnerability cracked me. Leaning in for kiss soft. Morning unfolding slow. Her body warm under sheets. Lovemaking tender. Fingers interlacing as climaxes whispered shared. January's chill spurred action. Her union rep a grizzled vet named Carla. Met over diner coffee in Hell's Kitchen. Steam rising like determination. Harassment's clear cut, Carla growled. Flipping files. Her own ink peeking from cuffs. Stories of battles won. Josephine nodded fierce. My hand under table squeezing. Anchor. Back home. She paced energized. Plotting next moves. Gonna make them eat their words. I smiled. Pride swelling. Pulling her to dance impromptu. Hips swaying to phantom jazz. Laughter bubbling free. The sight confrontation loomed mid-month. Snow flurries swirling as we cabbed downtown. Her in clean jeans and flannel. Me in wool coat clutching her hand. Office air stale with coffee and tension. Super behind desk. Face ready. Marco slouched corner. Smirk fading under Carla's glare. Josephine spoke steady. Voice like hammered steel. You suspended me on rumors. Not facts. Time to fix that. Or we go public. Words flew. Accusations volleyed. But evidence mounted. Texts logged. Witnesses named. Super blustered. But conceded. Papers signed for reinstatement. Back pay wired. Marco slunk out. Tail tucked. And outside? Snow catching on lashes. Josephine hooped. Spinning me in arms. Kiss salty with triumph. Re-entry to crew was wary. Nods cautious. But allies surfaced. Quiet handshakes from the electrician had seen Marcos venom. Josephine led with grace. Shit smoothing. Her stories at dinner laced with victories small. Taught the new kid how to plumb a wall today. Felt. Right. ID listen wrapped. Feet tangled under table. Her boot nudging mine playful. The rhythm returning. My front advanced parallel. Thesis defense scheduled. Pages polished with her late night reads. Red pen marks like love notes. This chapter's gold. Jen. Like you. The oral went smooth. Professors nodding. One pulling a side post. Publish this. It's got heart. Elation shared over tie on St. Mark's. Her cheers loud. Drawing stares we ignored. Hands clasped open. February's thaw mirrored ours. Valentine's surprise her crafting. A bookshelf hammered from reclaimed wood. Shelves curved like embraces. Installed in our living room amid sawdust kisses. For your stories. And ours. I filled it mixed. Baldwin beside her dog-eared carpentry manual. Our worlds shelved equal. That night? Candlelit. We read to each other. Her drawl rapping poetry. My voice steady on blueprints of love. But scars itched. Old doubts resurfacing subtle. A crew party invite she declined hesitant. Don't wanna poke the bear yet. I pushed gentle. We're bears too. Joe. Roar together. She relented. Event at a dive in Williamsburg. Air thick with smoke and stories. We arrived arm in arm. Her tension easing as beers flowed. Dances pulled us to floor. Bodies close in dim light. Hips grinding to bass. Kisses stolen amid cheers. Marco cornered once. Words slurred. But she shut him down cool. Private life stays private. Marco. Try it. Back up from crew dispersed him. And home? Adrenaline high. We tumbled to bed wild. Her on knees. Mouth devouring. My cries echoing release. Her following with shuddering gasps. Spring bloomed tentative. March winds carrying cherry scent as we planned Savannah trip. Her nerves nodding over flight. Your folks. They know? I soothed. Packing joint. Bits. But they'll see you. Not labels. Airport hug tight. Her whisper, love you fierce, carrying us south. Landing in humid embrace. Palms swaying. My childhood home a bungalow with azaleas rampant. Mama greeted warm. Hugs lingering on Josephine. Call me Josie? Like family already. Dinner tense at first. Daddy's questions probing gentle. Her answers honest. Tales of Texas grit charming. Post-meal walk. Mama pulled me aside. Eyes soft. She's good for you. Jen. Real good. Josephine overheard. Later in guest room. Tears glistening as we made love quiet. Bodies reverent. Sighs muffled in pillows. Dallas followed May. Her leading through flatlands. Truck rented rumbling past pump jacks silent. This is where I broke free, she said. Gravel road to family plot. Headstones weathered. We sat cross-legged. Her pouring bourbon from flask. Toasts to ghosts. Daddy woulda hated this. Me loving a woman. But mama. Shed have baked you pie. Laughter mixed tears. My arm around. The land vast healing. Night in a motel off IA-20. Neon buzzing. We clung desperate. Her thrusts deep. My nails raking back. Climaxes crashing like thunderheads. June heat wave tested tempers. Her new firm demanding. A bridge project overkill. Shifts dawn to dusk. Arguments flared over laundry left. Her imbeat. Jen met my, we need more than scraps. Pauses stretched. Sighs heavy. But makeup ritual held. Apologies whispered skin to skin. Forgiveness in touches lingering. One eve. Storm breaking humid. She arrived drenched. Pulling me to shower. Water cascading as hands soaked slow. Mouths joining under spray. Body slick sliding to floor. Gasps steaming glass. Thesis published excerpt in a lit journal. Launch reading at a cafe in Soho. Her front row beaming. Flowers in hand post. Proud don't cover it. Q&A flowed. Questions on love themes drawing her knowing smile. After party her dancing me tipsy. Whispers promising home. July anniversary marked year. Rooftop party small. Friends toasting. Lena quipping, from walls to wonder. Josephine pulled me aside. Stars wheeling. Ring box simple. Marry me. Jen. Build forever. Yes tumbled free. Cheers erupting. Kiessealing mit Feuerwerksdistant. Planning ensued joyful. Venue a barn in the Hudson Valley. Guests mixed. Her crew in ties awkward. My lit circle in sundresses flowing. Fall wedding crisp. Leaves gold as vows exchanged. Her in suit tailored. Me in lace ivory. Rings exchanged hammered true. Reception danced wild. Her lifting me twirl. Cake smeared lips kissed sweet. Honeymoon to Provincetown. Dunes whispering. Days beach lazy. Nights entangled. Her mouth worshipping. My sighs ocean roar. Years layered. Daughter arriving spring. We won with my curls. Her eyes. Named Aloan. Elm for strength. Parenting chaotic. Nights fragmented. But love deepened. Her building crib steady. Me reading lullabies soft. Cape Cod summers. Cottage hours. Waves teaching balance. Now. Watching her mend shingle. Aloan giggling. I sigh content. Chaos tamed to harmony. Our story etched enduring. Aloan's first steps wobbled across the cottage porch. Tiny feet in sandcake sneakers. Toward Josephine who knelt arms open. Face alight with that grin that still unraveled me. Come on. Bean. Mama Josie's got you. The sun hung low. Gilding the scene. Atlantic breeze tangling my hair as I watched from Adirondack chair. Book forgotten in lap. Heart full to brimming. 2 years would owned this place. A fixer-upper would poured weekends into. Her hammering beams while I painted walls seafoam. Aloan strapped to my chest cooing at the chaos. It was our testament. This home by the dunes. Walls whispering of arguments aired and loves reaffirmed. Life post-vows hadn't been linear. Curves we navigated with tools sharpened by trial. Josephina's firm promoted her to site lead. A waterfront condo tower in Red Hook. Responsibilities mounting but her stride surer. Mentoring women fresh to the trade. Her phoenix tattoo a beacon. Teaching M to swing hammers. Not just nails, she'd say over dinner. Aloan smearing peas. My laughter mingling with her pride. My own path branched. The Strand part-time now. Adjunct teaching at Brooklyn College. Seminars on queer narratives and lit. Students' eyes widening at tales like ours. Veiled in fiction but true at core. Motherhood shifted sands. Sleep stolen in snippets. Bodies weary but touches cherished. Stolen moments in laundry folds or bath times. Her hands on my hips from behind. Kiss to neck murmuring, still my favorite view. Intimacy evolved deeper. Less frantic, more profound. Nights when Aloan slumbered would reclaim each other slow. Her fingers tracing stretch marks like maps. My mouth drawing sighs from her that echoed soul sinking. You gave me this, she'd whisper. Hand to belly soft now. And I'd pull her closer. Legs entwining. Rhythms building to quiet crests. Afterglow breaths shared in dark. Challenges lingered. Subtle as tides. Her travel for conferences. Weeks in Chicago overseeing a retrofit. Video calls sustaining but longing acute. Aloan asking, where Mama Jo, with pout. Return flights brought reunions fervent. Airport hugs crushing. Cab rides home hands impatient under clothes. Tumbling through door to bed. Clothes shed hasty. Bodies reconnecting urgent. Her thrusts reclaiming. My gasps welcoming. Release shuddering mutual like homecoming. Family ties strengthened uneven. Savannah visits annual. Mama baking Josie pies pecan. Daddy thawing with fishing trips. Aloan his shadow. Dallas rarer. Her kin sparse but a cousin warm. Barbecues under live oaks. Stories swapped over brisket. Holidays rotated. Thanksgivings boisterous. Her drawl thickening with kin. My quiet anchoring. Friendships wove support. Lena godmother fierce. Playdates in park. Her quips, y'all still disgustingly cute, over wine. Crew barbecue summer. Marco long gone to Jersey. Old wounds scarred over. Toasts to resilience. One autumn. Aloan's fever spiked sudden. Night-ER run. Josephine driving white-knuckled. My hand hers over console. Prayers silent. Pediatrician calm. Virus passing. But vigil bonded us tighter. Her holding we won through dawn. Me her shoulder. Sighs of relief dawn breaking. Career crossroads came. My book offer from publisher small. Memoirish blend of lit and life. Her editing drafts late. Red ink loving. Raw. Jen. Like you. Launch tour modest. Readings in Boston. Philly. Her tagging weekends. Alone with sitter. Hotel nights ours alone. Room service cold as we tangled sheets. Her mouth between thighs drawing cries. My turn worshipping breasts. Peak shared whispering vows renewed. Josephina's milestone hit. Decade sober from old rig days. AA meeting shared with me ringside. Her share voice steady, love built my foundation. Celebration quiet. Beach walk. Waves lapping ankles. Aloan splashing ahead. Our hands linked. Sighs content. Aloan grew curious. Questions budding, why two mamas? Answered simple. 'Cause love comes in pairs sometimes. Bean. Strongest kind. School started. Her artwork home crayoned us holding hammers and books. Pride swelling. Now. As sun dips. Josephine scoops Aloan high. Squeals piercing air. Spinning till DC. She sets her down. Toddling to me. Collapsing lap. Warm weight. Josephine joins. Sandwiching. Her kiss to my temple lingering. Dinner? I murmur. And she nods. Rising to grill. Aloan trailing with toy tools. Evening unfolds ritual. Fish tacos seaside. Stories spun. Bedtime tales of librarians loving builders. Tucked in. We slipped a porch swing. Wine sipped slow. Stars pricking velvet sky. Her head on shoulder. Fingers tracing thigh. Chaos we built? Best damn structure. I turn. Kiss deep. Hand under shirt finding breast. Nipple peeking under thumb. Wanna go inside, she breathes? And we do. Door clicking soft. Bed welcoming. Undressed moonlight. Her body familiar yet thrilling. Scars mapping adventures. My curves softened by time but hers to adore. She lays me back. Mouth trailing collarbone. Belly. Thighs parting for tongue skilled. Circles teasing then firm. My hips bucking. Hand fisting hair. Climax blooming bright. Cry swallowed in pillow. Rising. I straddle. Grinding slow. Her gasps urging. Fingers digging hips. Our eyes locked fierce. Release crashing hers. Body arching bow. Collapsed entwined. Breaths evening. Her whisper forever. Jen sleep claims. Dreams of beams and books intertwined. Mornings blend. Coffee shared. Her to sight. Me to class. Aloan to preschool. Evenings reclaim. Dinners chaotic. Baths bubbly. Stories winding down. Weekends projects. Painting nursery for sibling mused. Her grin another builder. Laughter mine or reader. Years stack like courses true. Aloan 10 now. Soccer star with Josie's drive. My patience. College looms distant. But we ready. Talks of dreams. Her art echoing ours. Reflection comes quiet drives. Hudson winding. Her hand mine. From that hammer slip to this? Worth every splinter. Sigh shared. Pause natural. Love depth unending. Humanistic echo lingers. Our chaos not escaped but embraced. Structure of hearts resilient. Story pausing but never ending. Breaths one.